beautiful day in March, and it is gorgeous. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how warm it is. Almost 70 degrees here in the northern Colorado area, and I kind of just threw the GoPro on today as kind of a safety measure. You know, you can't record that accident if you don't have it on, and I would really hate to get into an accident without the camera. You know, even if it proved I was at fault, at least, you know, we'd have some clarity as to what happened. A lot of times you can wake up from an accident and not remember at all what happened. So just the one camera today. Had a quick departure. I only have a limited window of time to ride. Love this little piece of road right here. A little twisty. Not like a canyon, but it's a little twisty. But as I'm riding along, I thought I would talk about something. I am currently on the Street Triple 765. Or excuse me, 675. Boy, I have got the Street Triple 765 on the brain, and that's a little bit of what I wanted to discuss. Is what are your thoughts about the 765 RS? What about that bike, huh? What a beautiful bike. My goodness. I really don't know if I could push that bike beyond its abilities. This bike for me, it's a pretty good match for my riding ability. And I don't know if moving up to the 765 would be a great move for me. And then I just also saw the Speed Triple announced for 2019? With 2019 bike? 2018? Ah, jeez. Man, I don't know what I'm talking about. So you can tell I'm doing this off the cuff because I have zero preparation. But yeah, that bike, the Speed Triple, now that intrigues me because that bike I could ride a little differently than I ride this bike, and I could keep both bikes. Whereas the Street Triple 765, that would be a direct replacement for this bike, and I would have to sell this bike, which quite honestly would make me a little sad. You know, I've talked about doing a video about how I got this bike and where it came from and the story behind this bike, because it does have a cool, unique story. And I've thought about sharing that with you guys, but I haven't done that yet. So, man, I don't know. I want to talk about it, but it's a little complicated, and I'd hate to get some of the facts wrong. But it's a fun, cool story. It'd probably take 10 minutes to tell. So maybe I'll share that with you guys sometime. But thoughts about the Speed Triple, man? What do you think about that? Boy, the bugs are out. I just got pinged. Man, they're building more and more houses up this way every day. It used to just be a lot of these bigger, older homes off to my right here with a little bit of property, and now they are just slapping up left and right. Houses, houses, houses. And it's a cool area. I mean, you're near a lot of really cool stuff up here. But man, it's getting crowded. You know, I moved up this way maybe 12 years ago. And I got to tell you, the amount of people that have moved to this area just in the last 10 years, it's a little crazy. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of open space up here, so adding more houses is not an issue. But man, they are definitely not keeping up with the infrastructure. They're not widening roads, they're not adding bridges, they're not, you know, and in Colorado, don't get me wrong, they do a very good job of keeping the roads maintained. You don't see any crazy potholes, well, at least I don't in my area. That was a good one. You know, for the most part, pretty motorcycle-friendly riding area. But I don't know if this area can keep supporting all these people. Now, they are building some more shops and stores and restaurants and things like that. But I got to tell you, man, if you go out to eat here on the weekend, you are looking at anywhere from an hour to a 2-hour wait. Oh, this guy's got a trike. Cool. And, man, that is not enjoyable, especially if you have children, you have smaller kids. Man, you can't get a kid to stand still or sit still through, you know, a meal most of the time. Try taking them out and they have to wait an hour. I mean, even with call-ahead seating and apps for things like that, you know, more and more people are just grabbing their food and taking it home because it's just so painful. Whoa, what? They built a new grocery store up here? What the fudge? I have obviously not been up here in a while. You know, I did a bunch of work up here about 4 or 5 years ago, and they added a school and some stuff up here that I did some work at, but man, I did not know. They had a new grocery store up here. That's a little crazy. Buddy. Good job. Look at those mountains, man. I don't know if you guys can see that in the GoPro, but it's a pretty clear day here today. A lot of times we have a lot of smog, and you can't see the whole mountain range, but I'll tilt my head up here a little. It's just gorgeous. Better watch where I'm going. Wind up running to the back of this car. It would not be good for me or him. So what's it like where you live? Is it crowded like that? I mean, I don't know how Colorado compares to other areas. I think we're a little more crowded here than some, but you know, I travel a little bit for my job. And when I'm in other states, I notice it's not as crowded. I mean, particularly when I'm in Nebraska, I visit the Omaha area a couple times a year. And, man, you can go out to eat whenever you want. You don't have to plan anything. You can just go like, hey, let's go to this restaurant. And you can just walk in, and 9 times out of 10, you'll be able to be seated right away, right in the middle of the workday, lunch. You know, some restaurants have an exception to that. I know my friend and I went to Texas Roadhouse there, and that is fairly crowded. But you try to go to Texas Roadhouse here, and you are looking at a 2 to 3 hour wait. That is insanity, my friends. Insanity. So back on topic. Street Triple 765 or the new Speed Triple. I think it's a 1050. I think that bike has been rebuilt from the ground up. I think the only thing that's the same is the frame. Because that frame is pretty tried and true, and it's sturdy. It doesn't flex. It flexes where it's supposed to flex, and it doesn't flex where it's not supposed to. So I think they stuck with the same frame, so there's no new technology or no new geometry to the frame. But the bike itself is been rebuilt from the ground up, and same size motor though. They didn't increase the size of the motor, but the new triple, man, I gotta tell you, the Triumph triples are pretty damn bulletproof. Anything made in the last 10 years or so, so 2007, maybe 2005 on, you know, those Daytona 675s that first started running that 675 motor, they did have some quirks and some issues, but Triumph got those worked out. And I feel like that's one of the most bulletproof engines you could throw on a bike. And I really love the flexibility and the diversity of that motor. You can putz along in third gear and take that thing from 10 miles an hour up to 40 or 50. And, you know, you can keep it in second or third gear and just ride. You know, if you're in the city, you don't have to keep downshifting and upshifting. And, man, if you're commuting, that's huge. That's a huge thing. trying to shift up. I want another gear. I need gear 7, Triumph. Hook me up. I'm in 6. I shouldn't even be. It's like I'm under 6,000 RPM here. It's just with this Kaufman's exhaust on here, this bike is loud, and so I don't like it to ride along quite that loud all the time. I feel like I'm annoying people, but you know, when I get on the highway, people know that I'm there. Thank goodness. It does sound a little bit like maybe like a ZX or something. You know, it's got, well, it doesn't quite have that sport bike high-pitched whine to it, but it's close. People hear you coming. But it's funny when you hear that engine whining, and you're come tooling around at 35 miles an hour because you're still in first or second gear. That's pretty amusing. All right, man. I think I'm gonna go all the way down this road. I like this road, even though it's straight. I'm gonna go through a little town here and then jump on the little half-ass highway that's coming up, head south. But I live right on the north edge of Denver. There's a lot of people moving here just because they have the space to build here. So there's a lot of newer homes. Everybody that can afford a new home would want a new home, you know. I mean, some people definitely want that convenience of living in the city. You have so many things within walking distance. I used to work with a couple of guys, and they had, I don't know what you'd call them now, lofts, townhomes, probably a loft, where you're just kind of in a high-rise, maybe a condo. But they walk to work, you know, they got about a 5 or 6 block walk to work. That's like 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops. Even when it's really cold out, that is not so bad. You don't have to own a car. I mean, it's good to own a car in Colorado because you have so many other things that are so close by. You want to get up to the mountains to do your mountain biking. You want to get up to the mountains to do your snowboarding and your skiing. You know, there's a lot of awesome, amazing trail hiking that you can do year-round here. I mean, you see it's the first week of March here, and it's gorgeous. You could definitely do a nice hike today. It's just cool enough to keep you cool. Sun's not too crazy hot beating down on you like it is in July or August. But, yeah, it's beautiful here, and the word is spreading because there's more and more people coming here all the time. I don't know where they're coming from. Mostly from California and Texas, from what I see on the license plates. Maybe a few from Florida. Speaking of Florida, I grew up as a kid in North Florida, and you know, my wife's never really been there. She's been there for a few little, you know, few days vacations, but we've never spent any quality time there. And I think we're thinking about going there this summer. I think you know, we typically go to Mexico in the summer. Actually, more in the spring. It's too hot there in the summer, man. It's ridiculous with the humidity. But I prefer the dry heat of my home state here in Colorado. Well, it's not my home state. I consider it my home state, though. Consider it my home state. I've been here 26 years, 27 years. All by a freak, fluke, accident, a visit gone wrong or right. I don't know what you'd call it. Came here to pay a visit to some friends before I moved, and wound up staying, man. And partially thanks to them. They helped me find a small job to help me make a few bucks so I could afford my moving journey, and that job turned into another job, and next thing you know, I'm working 2 jobs and getting an apartment, and next thing you know, I'm dating and having fun and enjoying Colorado and learning how to snowboard. If you know me at all, man, you know I don't love the snow at all. I am a fair weather motorcycle rider, for one thing. But yeah, I came out to Colorado for a 2 to 3 week visit, and you know, here I am 27 years later, and I'm loving Colorado, man. It is a beautiful place, but it's expensive. You do pay a premium to live here. If you're just thinking about moving here now, you definitely pay a premium because housing prices are insane. It's like California in maybe the 80s or the 90s. You can't touch a nice house here for under I'd say $450,000. You could buy an older home built in the 70s or 80s, maybe for $300,000 if you're lucky. In maybe a neighborhood that's not that great. But That's the other thing about Colorado, man. There's no really bad neighborhoods. You will drive around Colorado for hours and hours and hours, and you will not see a boarded up house. You will not see a crack house. You will not see, I mean, some neighborhoods are better than others, obviously. There's some areas that are less savory, but there's not any that I would be scared to be in. I walk around this whole town at the middle of the night. I don't think I'd be afraid. I don't feel like I'd need to have a weapon, you know? I wouldn't be afraid of getting jumped or mugged. I mean, it could happen. It does happen. I mean, it's not perfect, but I would say that 95% of the places you could move to here are nice. But if you want to live near the mountains, you pay that premium, man. And some neighborhoods you pay more than others. There's the hoity-toity areas that got their special hoity-toity shops and hoity-toity neighborhood people, and everybody drives a Range Rover or a freaking Porsche, whatever. Most neighborhoods are pretty, they're just regular people, man. A lot of good jobs here, a lot of good companies here. You got tech jobs here like crazy. You got manufacturing jobs here. You got restaurant jobs and everything else, A lot of positive things about Colorado. Unfortunately, the housing market is not one of them. I mean, there's some areas you could buy in that aren't so bad. But these are the things I think about. I see a lot of these guys at Motovlog, and they talk about, things that they're interested in, things they're talking, things that pertain to their life and lifestyle. And me as a guy who's, I'm almost 50 years old, man. Believe it or not, I'll be 50 here in a year or two. But I still snowboard, I still do stuff, still ride my bike. I try to keep fit, try to be a healthy person in my mind and in my body. Try to keep my mind going, man. That's what gets you when you get older, man. Things like Alzheimer's, and man, that's even the scariest thing to think about, because what do you do about that? You can't do anything about it. Imagine your brother or your sister or even your children coming to see you and you don't know who they are. I mean, it's got to be, you just live in this crazy world. I don't even know what that would be like. I'd love to go get on the main highway here and show you guys how bad it is right now in the middle of the day on a Sunday, or Saturday. But I do not want to sit in that traffic. They have HOV lanes here, but you got to have like a special tag that you put on your vehicle, even if you have a motorcycle. And now, not to get off on a rant here, but I am just winging this vlog. This is just a mishmash of random ideas. I apologize. But they recently changed the HOV lane restrictions here to 3 occupants. You gotta have 3 people in the car to qualify for the HOV lane. Who is driving to and from work with 3 people in the car? No, nobody, man. So they know that. And so what happens is if you don't have 3 people in the car, they charge you. Even if you have those special little tags. That's crap, man. I think it's crap. I think it's a money grab. Don't get me started on government and taxes and all that jazz. I think we should have less government, more freedom. But that's just my point of view. I think our tax money, I think we pay too much in taxes already, and the tax money that they collect, they don't use in the best manner. I think there's a lot of grants and studies and things like that that are just BS. Just a way to give away money. You have all these politicians that have their pet projects. And, everybody's so busy rubbing each other's back. The little guy, the guy that puts all the money in the bucket, doesn't get to say where that money goes. I love people that don't understand how a four-way stop works. I don't get that. But anyway, food for thought, my peeps. Alright, so I'm going to sign off here. But please let me know your thoughts if you have any on any of the various subject matter for today's short little ride. I got a million things to do today, but I had to be on bike. I had to. It's just way too nice. I would have cried if I would have sacrificed this day, because it's going to be, I'll be maybe this one tomorrow, but the rest of the week, nope. They're even talking about snow again here. I can't handle it. I mean, we got about 5 or 6 more weeks till we hit spring here, and I'm going to a little cabin fever. So, have a fantastic afternoon. I hope you enjoyed my rant.